Hello and welcome to Back to the Feature, the show where we talk about movies past, present, and future. Today we're keeping in the present and we are talking about the brand new Matthew Vaughn film, Kingsman, The Golden Circle.
Manners maketh man.
Do you know what that means?
Kingsman, The Golden Circle is the sequel to Kingsman, The Secret Service, a movie that came out in 2014 and really caught everybody by surprise. Came out in the month of February, a month that is kind of notorious for not having very good movies. And when I first saw the trailers for the first movie, I was like, there's this kid in this flat bill cap, and Samuel L. Jackson with a lisp, and Colin Firth, who I'm like, well, he's kind of poncy. What's he doing in here? That I really at first wasn't interested was when I started to see some of the reviews being positive to mixed, that I was like, well, this is a curious thing. I'm kind of would be willing to check this out just because of where it's sitting with critics and audiences alike. It seemed like such a divisive film that I just had to go see it, and I really, really enjoyed it. I was definitely excited for the sequel. John?
Yeah, I enjoyed the first film. A big Matthew Vaughn fan overall.
Oh, yeah.
I think his addition to the X-Men franchise was excellent, and Kick-Ass is an awesome film. It's an awesome movie. So what Kingsman did coming out in that February, I mean, it kind of, it just caught everyone by surprise, caught me by surprise. It was a great February release. So yeah, I was definitely looking forward to the sequel.
Yeah, so as soon as we started hearing that we were going to get a sequel, I think it was a movie that we kind of knew we were going to see more of the Kingsman, more of this character, Eggsy. And Taron Egerton, who I thought is quite a good lead, comes back to reprise his role as Eggsy, but now he's a lot more established agent. It looks like there's probably been a couple situations that have happened since he has become a Kingsman. And really, it's just kind of, in a lot of ways, a sequel. You know, it's a sequel film. And though not trying to do the exact same things bigger and better, it definitely cranks everything up to 11.
Yeah, I think, everyone knows Kingsman, it definitely teeters on this line between, it's kind of like this action crime thriller, but it's got that really edgy comic book or out there comic book stuff to it. This one takes that comic bookness or that kind of fake reality type stuff and really just pushes it to an absurd level.
Yeah, and I think that's, some of the things that I liked and didn't like with this one. And I think that the first movie struck a great balance because, it's making fun of, James Bond films and spy films in general. It's kind of, being a satire of that. But at the same time, it has enough seriousness to it. It just kind of, to me, the first one walked this very narrow tightrope where I think that in 2... I think some of that got a little unbalanced.
Yeah, I think Vaughn went with a little bit, he had that creative freedom, which is great to see. Mm-hmm. This is great to see in Hollywood, but he really pushed it. And I don't know where the failure was in there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to talk about failure. I did enjoy this movie quite a bit, but I guess I think just touching on the negatives for this movie right out of the gate, I just think the absurd or the bonkers, what kind of was crazy about the first one, I think that I don't know if he misjudged that's what fans wanted, and it just went for it, went really out there with it. I'm not sure.
His inclusion of a couple scenes, especially one that involves a finger, I think some of them are just a little bit too absurd. And then 2, I think also him continuing his relationship with the princess didn't quite feel right to me. I didn't watch the first one going oh, he's gonna be with that princess he did anal with forever.
Yeah.
And that was kind of a reoccurring thing that I didn't think that the film needed. There was a lot of things that he added and kind of expanded upon that, like I said, because I think the first one walked this really narrow tightrope. I think that by trying to blow some of these things up for the sequel, that it really, like I said, it made it kind of slip off the tightrope for me.
Yeah, it definitely suffers from sequelitis, and it definitely has those same issues that a lot of sequels have. But I don't think the bubble didn't come down too far. I did have a lot of fun with this movie. It's a bizarre movie. It's weird. It's so crazy, and I don't know, it's just so out there that it's you can't help but tip your hat a little bit to it, just being so original and just so out there. You had the balls to make that, and a studio watched that and was let's put it out.
Yeah,
it's kind of crazy.
It's a ballsy, fun action flick, and I think that that's where it excels. When the action starts and just all this really fun stuff is going on, and it's a very funny movie overall. It definitely has a lot of entertainment value.
Yeah. The Statesman was a great addition.
Yeah, I actually really like that concept. I think as soon as I saw the trailers, I knew we were going to get tons of Channing Tatum. He's not a huge role, and we get more Pedro Pascal's whiskey than we do of Channing Tatum's tequila, which I think for most nights, as we all know, is probably a good thing. But he kind of is this prototypical statesman. Like, that's exactly what a statesman would look like. You know, Channing Tatum in denim, you know, with a Winchester and stuff.
Yeah.
Which that was really cool to see. And then, of course, I really actually enjoy Pedro Pascal in this movie. I mean, for the most part, there's some things that they decided to do with this character that I wasn't a fan of, but I felt like as far as his acting went, I actually really liked him overall. He kind of had this Burt Reynolds thing to him.
Yeah,
that's what he reminded me of. Like, you know, just the way he was and he looked and everything. He looked kind of like, you know, Latino Burt Reynolds, but he does the accent really well that you barely think about him being, I think, Hispanic.
Yeah, Pedro Pascal, he's kind of like breaking out, I think, right now, and I think people should definitely take note of this film because he is electric on screen. I think he stole the show, honestly. I think every scene he's in, it's... Man, that guy, you know, Agent Whiskey, he's so fun. He's so awesome, and the action scenes involving him are just
with that whip and
excellent.
that lasso.
Yeah.
That was actually, I'd say, some of my favorite stuff, like action-wise, the whip and the lasso stuff was really cool, and just so fun to see that concept brought to life. And, of course, Matthew Vaughn doing it in the only way that he can. He definitely uses a lot more of those editing tricks in this one with the fight scenes that he did in the first, and it definitely has it in the first, but there's just a little bit more of it here. I think that, again, it's one of those things about balance. You gotta have balance. And I think that this movie is just a bit off balance in that way. It definitely goes for big fun and like you know, big laughs and like some really kind of out there like stuff. But I think that's the gamble with something like this, and that's what makes these movies kind of divisive, is because he's not afraid to roll the dice on something like, you know, an anal reward at the end of a movie type thing. But there's definitely some more of that. So if that wasn't something that you liked about the first Kingsman, which that's really not particularly my favorite part of the first Kingsman, that I think that you'll definitely like this or dislike it, depending on how you felt about that. So overall, John, besides Agent Whiskey, what did you think of our main cast? Taron Egerton, Colin Firth, Mark Strong.
Mark Strong, he gives a great performance in this. All the performances are actually really good. Yeah. All the acting is good.
Yeah.
I did like where certain characters went. I didn't like where some other characters went. Was it Julianne Moore?
Yeah.
Is the villain in this one? I think she plays it well for what they give her. It's definitely a different type of villain. It's not a rehash. It's definitely out there and different. But I liked the way she played it. And yeah, the whole principal cast was really good.
I think that with Julianne Moore, I would have liked to see some more interaction with the rest of the cast with her. I think that she's kind of off doing her own thing for most of the movie, and I think that it really kind of tones down the stakes with their villains in this movie, that I think they're so separate that it makes it really tough, I think, in some ways, to quite feel the stakes where we get to have them pit against our hero. I think that every movie, even when you have a movie like Green Room where like they never see each other, there's still some interaction that builds this protagonist-antagonist relationship. And I think we need to have a little bit more of that. And I think that we needed to see her come into more direct contact and conflict. Because honestly, when they get there at the end and they actually finally, like, you know, are interacting with her, it's great. And I wish that we had more of it. Yeah. So I felt like she was in some ways underutilized.
Yeah, I think it just, in general, this whole film, I think it just really upped the cheese factor. I think a lot of it, even with the villain, I think even with some of that stuff, they just really went, we want to go like really cheesy with some of this.
Yeah,
or
really
like,
comic booky.
Really comic booky, really out there. And just, you know, I don't know. Some of it works, like the first film, and some of it didn't work. But I don't know.
Yeah, I think that the principal cast overall did a great job. I really like Taron Egerton. I think that he is going to be someone that sticks around. A good, young, leading man. I'd like to see him do some more stuff. And then, of course, Colin Firth reprising his role. And we're not going to explain how he comes back. We've all seen him in the trailers. I think that he was also quite good for the bits that we got him in. They asked him to do a few other things, which actually he plays them off really well, I think, overall, especially when for comedic effect.
Yeah.
So, guys, we've gone over our positives and our negatives for the movie. So, John, what is your final summary and grade for Kingsman: The Golden Circle?
Kingsman, The Golden Circle, it's a fun movie. I did have a lot of fun seeing this movie in theaters. I enjoyed the first one a lot. I was looking forward to this. It does suffer from things that sequels often suffer from, taking it just to the next level. Kingsman definitely takes things to the next level. I don't think for the better. Some things work, some things don't. It's a lot of fun though, guys. It's original. This movie's crazy original. It's so bonkers and absurd and just out there with its ideas and some of the kinetic energy that it's in. It's endlessly entertaining, and I had a lot of fun with it, but it does have some of those issues with where they take the characters, and I think just some of the storytelling elements. It gets a little convoluted and a little bit too bonkers. But overall, I am going to bless it with a B-. I think the originality in the film really does just take it there for me.
Kingsman: The Golden Circle is a sequel. It's for sure a sequel, and it definitely has some of the pitfalls that sequels have. Matthew Vaughn wanted to give you more, and he gives you a lot more characters, he gives you a lot more locations, he gives you more fight scenes, he gives you more agents, but at the end of the day, I think that a more honed-in film would have worked better. The plot felt a little too scattered overall to have any kind of cohesiveness to it. It just really, I felt like that could have been improved upon. Our wide array of characters, I would have liked to see more interaction with these groups of characters. Maybe if it was a little smaller, more intimate emotionally in that way. I feel like we only have a few real emotional beats throughout the film, and I think that there would need to be a little bit more of that. But the movie is a lot of fun. It's got some great action sequences, and all of the actors are having a great time and are working their asses off to give you a great movie. But I think that the balance did tip in this movie, and I'm going to give Kingsman: The Golden Circle a C+. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed our review today. Tell us what you guys think of the Kingsman franchise, and tell us where you would like to see it go. Do you want a third one of these? Tell us in the comments. You can find us on Twitter at BacktoFeature, and you can find us on our Facebook at /BacktoFeature. I've been Giovanni Carlo.
And I'm John Manilow.
And we'll see you guys next time.